welcome to Caddie Shack. We've got a special guest, first guest for the Caddie Shack pod.
Oh, really?
First guest. Your first guest. Yeah. Hans Wright with Windsor America, CEO of Windsor America, one of the Caddie partners, garage door manufacturer and service company, and we'll kind of get into the details of it. But excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Man, what a setup this is. This is incredible.
Yeah,
it's intimidating, right? You come in, you're like, oh,
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's like a show. When we had this room, we were trying to figure out what to do with it, and I was like, well, let's just build a podcast room, a little studio.
It was between that and
then,
ping pong table, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably more productive.
And then it just kind of kept growing. We were like, should we curtain the whole room? Sure. Should we do some couches over there? Sure. Yeah. So it's been good. It's been fun. But yeah, excited to have you on. Thanks for making the time. You've got you've board meetings, right, in Dallas?
Yeah, we have board meetings this week.
Yeah, that's
picked
always
a cold
fun.
week to have them, but I think it's going to be fine.
And it's going to be 90 next week. So.
I know, right? Yeah. We'll be turning our ACs on next week. So.
And you're based out of, you said you used to live here, but now you're in.
Yeah, I lived in Fort Worth for 10 years. I'm based out of Little Rock. That's where our main manufacturing facility's at. So
yeah,
but
awesome.
I live in 4A.
Yeah, you're flying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. For our listeners and folks watching, tell us about Windsor. Give us the kind of the background, how you got started in there.
Yeah, it's a interesting story. It's a kind of a couple of stories in parallel. My family kind of fell into the garage door installation business in the early 90s. Dad and uncle bought a garage door installation business in Houston in 1991. Real small business. I think they paid $50,000 for it.
Oh,
Had like
wow.
one truck.
Yeah.
I think the first year they owned it did like $200,000 in revenue. And it was supposed to be mailbox money for them. And they just wanted to own something together. They weren't going to actively work in the business.
Yeah.
And just through some life events, my dad and uncle ended up kind of coming, through the years and actually working in the business as it starts to scale. And they really kind of rode the new construction wave in Texas and grew the business from one location to 7 locations throughout Texas and Oklahoma. And, got to be a pretty significant regional player in the garage door industry. And at the same time, they're buying from multiple manufacturers. You have Windsor Door, who has been around since 1961, based in Little Rock, but grew to be one of the largest manufacturers in the country, and really kind of hit their peak, I would say, in the late 90s, early 2000s. We start buying from them, and we'll say they started to go through their wilderness years, I guess is the best way to put it. Went through a series of owners who didn't really have long-term aspirations for the business, and so it really took a toll on the business. And so as that business started to decline, then we hit 2008, right?
Yeah.
And our leadership and their leadership came together and said, "Hey, we're probably better together, right? You guys at Garage Door Services are kind of disruptive. We at Windsor Door kind of need to, restart this and kind of set ourselves on a different trajectory." And so we ended up doing an asset acquisition of Windsor Door in 2011, and then really started to rebuild it from there. I would say, that first year we did, Windsor at its peak was probably something like a little over $250 million in revenue. And you're talking like early 2000s dollars, right?
Yeah,
so the garage door was half the price it is today.
Yeah.
So big company, and the first year we owned it, we did $8 million.
Wow.
Yeah. But you had the bones of this business that had this great legacy brand to it. You had, decent manufacturing equipment. In that plant, you had a good ERP to scale from. Mm-hmm. And so, from 11, I would say from 11 to 19, we're slowly scaled the business from like 8 to like about 40 million.
Yeah.
We didn't really make any money doing it during that time.
Yeah. Hey, it takes that. Part of the process.
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of money, but hit 2019, obviously incredible challenges, but really, I think what was born from that was just an immense amount of opportunity to build something that really hadn't been done before in our industry. And we were always, my dad and uncle, we want manufacturing and installation, and our this next generation of leadership in our business, we look at it as more of like a full cycle solution in our industry, where we're engaged in the steel process. Our steel suppliers are an investor in our business now.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that.
Yeah, and so they're part of this full cycle solution where we start with steel, we manufacture as much of the door as possible. We partner with home builders across the country to provide price stable products that they can access even in the most challenging supply chain times, right? And so, and then we want to be somebody that's a reliable source for the homeowner when they need service and eventually when they need replacement, and then we just repeat the cycle and it compounds on itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we start off down that journey, we get to 2000.
But not to interrupt you, but that is a very different mindset than a short term.
Yeah.
From the folks that you
right.
took this over from.
Yeah. We're just going to make garage doors. We're just going to service.
Yeah. You guys are thinking about it for the next 20, 40 years.
Correct. Which is why the program that we built together, right? So this first year of warranty registrations, right? Mm-hmm. That's a cohort, right? So that first cohort, we may not realize the true benefits of that for a decade.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But
long-term bet.
Right. And so, but we're building these cohorts that compound on each other year after year after year after year, right? Yeah. And you build trust with your builders. With your builders, you build trust with the homeowners that are in that home, that there's going to be a reliable solution for them for the life of the product, for the life of the home.
Yep.
Right. So we go through, things for us really start to turn around, I would say 2021. There was a number of products that were really constrained during supply chain crazy, right? Garage doors was top 3. Yep. There were homes across the United States that were closing with plywood in the opening.
Wild.
And, we saw that as, obviously there was a short-term opportunity there, but to us it was really, well, how do you leverage this into a long-term solution that really provides value for us, for our people that help provide the solution, and for our customers. And so we leveraged that into some partnerships that have really allowed us to scale the business, allowed us to invest in a high-speed production line that's fully automated, fully integrated. So tripled our capacity.
Yeah, and you launched that recently, right? Is that new?
That launched in April of 24.
Yeah.
Like I said, tripled our capacity, dramatic improvement in quality. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you automate things, you're pulling your cost structure down.
I was going to say big capex investment, but long term looks great on the P&L, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it's like I said, a benefit that we aim to share with our customers as well, right? Because we have some, very strategic partners who stood by us to go and make that kind of investment. And so, as we scaled that, we've also grown our installation footprint, right? And so we have 2 sides of our business at Windsor America. We have our installation services, which make right now that is garage door services, Jacobs overhead door, and Lodi door. Mm-hmm. And that footprint will continue to grow over the next few years. And then on the other side, we have Windsor Door right now, and Windsor Door will continue to expand its manufacturing capacity and maybe add some additional products to what they're doing. So
I love it. I feel like we approach business very similarly. Great partners, obviously very important. Love vertical integration as much as you can.
Yeah.
Anytime that you can go and figure out a solution that is, cost effective to the end user or the end consumer, which oftentimes is hard to identify with different businesses, whether it's a builder or the change out business with someone needing a new door. We try to do the same thing with our businesses. And so it's shocking to me how many companies don't take that approach.
When the price of steel went from like $500 a ton to like $2,000 a ton relatively overnight. And when you're a privately held family business,
that sells steel.
That's the entire door is steel, right? And so
Yeah.
when you're talking about a significant challenge to your working capital when you have that kind of cost increase.
Absolutely.
And we really leaned into this idea of transparency. And people talk about transparency a lot
all the
in
time
our industry.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to talk about it, and it's another thing to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And so we really, the truth is we saw no other way to survive other than to just be completely transparent, lean into it, live it. And the benefits that came back from that, I mean, we're still living them today, right? And so so we lean into this transparency, and then you become, you create real enduring partnerships built on trust, and then you can start to solve for bigger things for yourself and for your employees and for your customers. And so in our company, we talk a lot about trying to lean into certainty, right? How can we solve for certainty for our customers?
Yeah.
So it really started with that transparent piece, and then solving for certainty. And then we start coming up with all these cool tools like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and for those that don't know, the partnership that we have together with Windsor is on the Caddie side. We built a custom warranty program for Windsor America. So we basically took the tools that we've got for Caddie warranty and turned them into, had to tweak the monster or whatever you want to call it, fix it up to basically have it fit for the garage door side, and kind of your model of having all the service companies and that sort of stuff. So it's been really cool. It's been a great project to work on for us, especially because it's one of the, we've always built software in-house and kind of done that stuff. And so it's been nice to do a project for someone else and see it come to fruition and get it live and get it active. And we're excited about it. It's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, and to have a resource like you guys who, this is not unplowed ground for you guys. You've proven this model.
Yeah.
And so to hear you guys, to hear your success story and apply that same level of value that you delivered previously to our customer base is what really attracted us to the project. And it's really neat for us to be, I say we're the first ones in our industry to have a fully automated, fully integrated high-speed production line like we do. And we're certainly the first to, deliver a product registration, in-house product registration and an extended warranty program. And I'm sure, you get a local company that extends their own self-insured deal, right? That doesn't really have a back office to it, that's not professionally administrated.
Yeah, it's written down, we've got it, and that's the end of it. Right.
But there's no actuary behind it. Well, which is funny because that's, kind of drawing parallels to what we're doing. You've got, we've recently launched on the Caddie side, on the warranty side, we would call it like DIY. In-house, we call it DIY, but it's really, like a service guarantee program that contractors who are smaller, medium-sized guys that are doing their own program, because in the HVAC space, it's the same thing. There's a ton of guys that just do their own workmanship guarantee. And so we've tweaked our program to give them the ability to just do it themselves, but use our software for $50 a month. Just use our software and manage their own program. So at least you have the data to say, okay, am I putting enough money aside for how many claims we've got? Am I not putting enough money aside? So that's, that's a huge piece of it, because you think about it. If these service guys are promoting that everything's built on trust and that I'm going to be here to service it long term, as a homeowner, you want to know, okay, well, in 5 years, are you going to be here?
That's right. Do you have the wherewithal to actually
Did you spend that money on a vacation, or is it really sitting there, and do you have it adequately reserved?
Yeah.
But no, I love the story. That's great, because I didn't even know some of that stuff, the history lesson there. But I love the vertical integration. I think the transparency piece is huge. It's literally what we preach on here all the time, and what we try to do with our businesses is, okay, can we be as transparent as possible and eliminate as much of the fluff as possible to give the customer, the end user, the best product possible, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've been kicking around a lot, we've discussed, is like how transparent can you actually get with your business or your business process? And it's almost to the point now where personally I believe, and this is going to sound crazy, but I believe there's a within every industry there are reasonable gross margins that you should make.
Right.
I think there's reasonable net margins, and I think that there's people that take advantage of that and really not showing how you're operating your business transparently, to overuse that word, becomes an issue. We're talking about one of the spaces that is the most rampant with this.
Sure.
Right? Like you go to and garage doors are a great example, because you go to a consumer getting a garage door changed out versus a builder, and that price point's similar to air conditioning, where when we go to like when we're doing a new construction air conditioning job, those builders are educated. They know what they should pay. Everyone that's in that space understands we're gonna target this margin. Maybe it's 15% gross margin. Maybe it's 18%. Maybe it's 20%. It depends obviously on the builder, but they're targeting a certain gross margin, and they know that they have to do a lot of volume.
Right.
A lot of volume to get to that net margin that they want, and it all translates and makes sense.
Yeah.
On the retail space, where the consumers are relatively uneducated in this, you see like what I'm going to say is almost like it's not negligent. It's like it's so bad. You know what I'm saying? Which is what I love what you guys are doing with your transparency, because consumers don't know if a garage door costs $5,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, and you'll see bids out there, and you probably see them all day long, that are like, that's an entire week's worth of new construction garage doors for us in one job at margin.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, and we see it all the time. And so I don't know. There's some movement that has to happen, in my opinion, on the home service side, where you should be able to disclose. Like,
it's the ambiguity of these things. Like even before we started building the custom warranty program for you guys, I'm just thinking, man, how much does a new garage door? Because I've never bought a new garage door. I've lived in houses that are fairly new, so they haven't required them, right? And so it's like, I don't know how much did a garage door cost? And so it's been interesting to kind of learn some of that, because you think about a garage door as being a pretty large, I mean, it's a large item.
Yeah.
And what you don't think about is that you use it was like 3 to 4 times a day that's being used to open up.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount, as we get into the warranty side of it, it's like 3 or 4 times a day times how many every years. And that's how much a spring can take. And that's how much, there's a lot of things that go into that, but.
Yeah. And you see, like you said, some of the practices that we see, our industry specifically has been targeted by, consumer protection advocates that, because there's been some, bad players for sure. And, you see the consumer in general, or people in general, wanting transparency.
Yeah.
And that being like the new standard about how we're going to interact and transact with each other. And so, my take on it is, so we can either be a leader in that movement and lean into it ahead of everybody else, or we can follow, and that's just not our nature. We don't follow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that, and it's silly that we're in 2025 and we have to talk about things going online still.
Right.
It is kind of crazy, right? Like we have ChatGPT that can write you a book in 5 minutes, but garage doors are just like air conditioners in the sense that like they're just coming online for people to start getting educated on the price points.
Yeah.
And so the research is that it's becoming easier because there's more information. Sure. So I love what you're doing, because it's very similar to us with the HVAC home supply stuff, where it's like, let's be ahead of it. We know where the industry's going. We know that pricing is going to become way more transparent. So let's develop a business model that is competitive and shares this stuff with people.
And it's all,
I love it.
about the type of business that you want to build, right? This is everybody that works with us, works on it. This is their life's work. We all want it to be their life's work.
Yeah.
So I want
be proud of it.
And I want people that share that similar values to be on our team. And so, absolutely.
I think these companies win.
Right. 100%.
You're mission driven. So it's funny because, one of our modules that we offer is the marketing services for service companies, right? And one of the things that we struggled with a couple different accounts was, what is your story?
Yeah.
What is your purpose? Like, what is your passion? How are you doing something different? And in the majority of the cases, there is nothing different. So what we're talking about, this mission driven, like effort to create a more efficient business, become more transparent with pricing, provide a better quality service, be more reliable, all these things, believe it or not, don't exist in the majority of these businesses. So it makes it really hard to tell a compelling story for them. And I would imagine as an employee for one of them, it would be very hard to get up and feel really strong about what you're doing.
Right. I mean, and, on the opposite side of that, if you are mission driven and everybody really understands what we're trying to achieve,
Special.
they wake up in the morning and run through a brick wall for it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think we got that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah. Well, kudos to you. It's important. It's awesome and very special. And I'm sorry that we kind of got
It's not all about
there.
just getting that sales number or trying to squeeze as much out of a customer as possible.
That will come.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to, and I think that's big. A lot of what maybe it's just because it's what I get targeted with, but I see a lot of that online now where it's like, don't just try to sell something, try to figure out and be passionate about what you're selling. And then the sales and the money comes to you, right? It's,
Yeah.
if you're trying to get the money, that's not the right approach, right?
Yeah, we say a lot in our organization. We say garage doors is not what we're doing. That just happens to be the
product we're selling.
Product,
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Go ahead.
Sorry, last thing that's funny. What you were talking about, basically how brands need to be out there and market online. And I found myself as I'm getting older researching brands way more frequently with the brands that I wear, whether it be like an athletic company or
Hairback golf.
Yeah, no, but it's crazy because now I'm finding like I think maybe it's just being more educated and savvy, and whether it's like the food you buy and what that represents, or the shirt brand or shoe brand you buy, like what that represents. Like I'm finding that I'm making decisions now on what I'm actually wearing or putting in my body, or based on do I align with like the corporate values and stuff like that. So like I think people, it may be a garage door, but if people know what you're doing, just like an air conditioner, hopefully they understand like, and I can get behind the mission because it's the right mission.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it's the whole reason we started this.
Yeah.
Tell your story. We want to tell our story. We got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of different stories inside of our story, right?
Yeah.
With the restaurants and Caddie and everything else.
Yeah.
So we just want to be transparent and try to tell as much of it as we can.
Yeah. Get back to your script. I'm sorry.
No,
I got us way off here.
No, script could go out the window. But I was blown away with the volume that you guys do. So I just, for listeners, how much ever you can get into it, I guess, is talk about like how many doors that that Windsor can manufacture, maybe with a new speed line, and then like what the Windsor America in general is doing, because I was blown away with the sheer volume, and most of it's through new construction, right?
Right now it's a pretty new construction centric business, and I think we will be that for the foreseeable future. Those we have a number of I would say the entire new construction or the home builders, the United States home builders really have lifted our business up. Collectively. So very grateful for all the partners we have in that space. So we're certainly committed to assuring that they don't run into the challenges that they ran into in 21, 22, 23 in regards to supply and lack of price certainty, lack of price transparency, all those things. So, if you look at the Windsor America footprint, really, on the install side of the business, we install about 50,000 doors a year of our own.
That is a huge number.
It's a lot of doors.
That's a lot of doors.
and most of those are new construction, right? And you're talking about big partners with. I don't know if you can mention the names of the builders, but
the top 100.
It's
really.
the big builders out there, and so that's you think about
a lot of regionals, a lot of custom guys too. So
think about how many new houses that is per year. It's just
it's
wild.
It's crazy that that space is certainly consolidating when you have like. I think it's the top 3 build 1 in every 4 homes in America right now. Back to on that side, we install about 50,000 doors a year, and on the manufacturing side, we'll do roughly 200,000 this year. And capacity well above that, well above that.
Yeah.
Is the 50,000 install just factor of geographical presence, basically?
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? If you had more presence in more markets, you would expand
Sure.
from 50 to
and like I said, our footprint will continue. Our
Yeah,
installation footprint will continue to expand over the next few years.
That's just with your service companies.
Yeah, that's just the service companies that are under the Windsor America umbrella today. That's about what they put in.
It's awesome.
Where is your footprint with the service companies today, and where are you thinking about?
I mean, we're thinking everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
But today, heavy footprint in Texas. All the major markets in Texas: Oklahoma, Colorado, Tennessee, Arizona, Nevada.
Okay.
That's the
bulk of it.
The bulk of it right now. And so we have, so we certainly have plans to get into other, major Sunbelt regions in the country. So
yeah, we always called it the NFL cities. Like when we were growing fixed,
right?
We had the plan of scaling out to every major. We just called it NFL metros. Like target those. Those are pretty big. If they can host an NFL
the southern
team.
ones, you basically say the southern ones. Where you need
everywhere the sun shines.
That's right.
Smile is what we call it. But it's getting. There's. Really, there's. The Northeast, there are pockets of the Northeast that are really good. There's pockets of the Pacific Northwest that we're certainly interested in, and there's nowhere's off the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then you'll ship out. So the garage doors manufactured in Arkansas, right? And then you're shipping out across the country though for those 200,000 doors.
Our distribution right now between company owned and then independent dealers is in over 40 MSAs. So,
everywhere.
Most of the major markets in the United States. So
now, are you guys looking to buy, build the service companies? Like, what's your strategy there?
It's a combination of both. For us, I was kind of alluded to this before, but the culture piece is huge for us. And so we won't just buy a company for the sake of we want to be in this market.
Right.
And, they do a lot of business. If it's not a cultural fit for us, and they're not bringing something additional to the table that's gonna, like a that's gonna be best practice. It's gonna lift the collective organization up. Then we typically won't pursue that type of acquisition.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to be in a space that's pretty fragmented. I think there's something like 15,000 independent garage door dealers in the United States right now.
Yep.
And so, and you've got a pretty large collection of guys that are, ready to come out of the field, ready to stop running the back office, that have a lot of knowledge about our industry, and have run good businesses. And those are typically the people that we're going to try to acquire.
Yeah.
Anytime we've done an acquisition, we've asked the founder to remain on our board. So it's funny, we end up buying their business and then I end up reporting to them.
Yeah.
But it's great if you says we have a board meeting this week and the collective knowledge in that room is incredible. Now it's great, but it's also a gut check for our executive leadership team, because we can't bullshit them.
Right.
Yeah, which is great.
There's, they know.
There's so much accountability there.
Right, and it's great, and so I love that. I love that that we're building the business in that way, and that we've got this wonderful brain trust around people that we're building. So we'll, so through acquisition, that's how we'll grow, and then we've greenfielded markets before.
Nice.
And to have experience doing that, it's a little tougher to do it that way, but
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a great way to do it. Do you target guys that already have a book of new construction, that are heavy new construction, or does it matter at that point?
It's interesting because you see the other consolidators in our space who obviously were in the HVAC space and now they're in the garage door space and doing the roll-ups. All the things.
I know some that you're specifically talking about.
Yep. And they, hey, hats off to them. They have a playbook that's worked across multiple home services platforms. We're doing something a little bit different. Like I said, we lean in to culture first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we're not, we don't necessarily pigeonhole ourselves to just new construction.
Yeah.
To me though, it's really gotta contribute to this whole full cycle solution that we're building, right?
Yeah.
Just as in Secure Door Shield, our
The warranty
product that we
Yeah.
put together with you is additive to the full cycle solution, right?
Yeah.
And so.
So air conditioning guys got into your space.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever considered getting into their space?
Yeah.
Right
I think
now,
I asked you this at one point because I was like, you know what? You're in this new construction game. What?
We're partners with Flat Global Metals. They are a minority investor in our business and have been fantastic partners. And they have a piece to their business called Flat Manufacturing Investments. And so they own some metal roofing supply, some a number of different like construction products businesses. And so I could see them getting into it and us collaborating. At Windsor America, we're about the main thing. The main thing is garage doors.
That's
So,
such a safe answer there.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Yeah, it's interesting to see some of these because the guys you're talking about specifically. There's a big group that I'm thinking of here locally that got into it. It's wild to me that when they come into the space, the way they approach it, and I'm not knocking their business model, but they're the ones that do come in at this price point that confuses customers. Like it's wild when I've seen some of these estimates that have come through.
Well, and it's this and I understand, I guess economically I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that doesn't do the employees any justice. It doesn't do the customer any justice. That's why we're trying to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because there's this like short-term outlook, right? There's a short-term horizon,
Right.
And so.
Yeah, it's so transactional. It's like I'm going to get you this one time, and then and we're moving on. And we talk about it all the time. It's like that whole "I gotcha" is the worst. It's so short-sighted. But yeah, I don't.
And to each their own. I mean, that's how they want to. That's just not. Our team doesn't want to do that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, totally.
How do you get? So just staying on kind of the acquisition roll-up thing here. How do you get and tying it into kind of what's happening right now with like Doge and everything. How do you like when you acquire a company? How do you make
Doge? We got Doge worked in.
We're gonna work Doge in here. How do you? I think about it. It's like okay, so you get a company and you kind of have to go through it a little bit, and then how do you get the culture? How have you been able to get that culture from someone you've acquired to kind of mesh in with the Windsor America culture? Is it and I say that a little leading because I was at that. I met with you guys and did a presentation at that. I don't know what the conference was, but you had everybody there out at Colonial. And, looked like a very collaborative effort with all of your companies, which was cool to see. And it seemed like they were all working together and it was a good vibe. So I just, how do you, stuff like that? Or is there any other things that you do, as far as like getting people bought in,
I mean, that's my number one job, I think, to get the people right. And just as if you're hiring somebody when you go to acquire a company, it's the same, right? The people that you're bringing into the company, like I look at it that way. So when we're talking to an acquisition prospect, like I get to know their team. Yeah. And if it feel like it's not going to be a fit, then we don't go down that road. But yeah, bringing a new team on board, like we brought a new team on board earlier this year, and you are going to go through your lumps, but I think if you are, if I'm authentic as a leader, and my leadership team is authentic, and we do what we say we're going to do, then generally things kind of work out, and you do have some people that are skeptical initially, and. Is this guy bullshit? And is it going to come true? And we talk, for example, we talk about sharing success in our business. Yeah. And so brought on this new acquisition. Said, hey, every person in the company last year got a bonus. Okay, and it was tied directly to performance. Okay, it was not. It's a performance-based bonus. Business performs, we share success. And I think that's kind of
sure.
Yeah. And sure enough, we do,
Yeah.
right? And so when you do what you say you'll do,
Yeah.
and build credibility with your team, and so that's how it's worked so far. Obviously, the larger we get, the more challenging it's going to be, and the more we as leaders are going to have to innovate. How we keep that culture going and keep growing it.
Yeah.
It's teed up perfect. Evan has become recently obsessed with Nick Saban quotes.
I am I haven't gotten them printed off yet, but I am printing them off. I will get them printed off. And
yeah, most people put like pictures of their family above their bed. So Evan's got like Nick Saban quotes now around his house. But
I get a Nick Saban quote every morning. Shout out to Bob Strahan, who's the president at Windsor Door. Every morning he's sitting Instagram.
I want to make a peel off. You know those little peel off calendars with the quotes on it? Like I want one of those for Nick Saban quotes.
Well, it sparked me when you're talking about this, and we went through that acquisition process, being acquired, and the culture is so important. And one of the quotes that he has is about getting the right people on the bus. And then I think if the bus's culture is right, you can go forward.
Yeah.
But getting the right people on the bus sounds like what you guys are having a lot of success with. And we see it on the hiring front with different companies. It's wild how much time, for those that are listening that might be acquiring a company or getting acquired, really do need to consider how it pairs up, because it is a marriage. I mean, it's something that you're committed to. It's going to happen, and the right people will make or break it. Like it's that vetting, whether it's an employee or an acquisition, is critically important to get right, because it can really go the other direction if there's a bad vet or a bad hire or a bad whatever. As we all know, we've gone through some of those. So it's wild. I mean, it really does drive. It's the difference between a championship quality organization and one that's not.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of small, guys that'll watch this, or small, medium-sized contractors, if you're thinking about your final step, right? Everybody says like you need to have your exit plan, right? That's like a big deal that people say when you own a business. And it's true, you need to have a couple different thoughts on what your exit plan is. But if your exit plan is to get purchased, right, and that's what you want, a lot of this is great information, because you're getting it from someone that's acquiring home service companies, and it's not just about sales. Like you got to build a culture within your own company. So then when you get acquired, you have the right people on your bus for when your bus is rebranded to another bus, right, or whatever that is. And so I think that's a lot of stuff that probably gets overlooked by a lot of these guys. They think, okay, I just need to grow sales as much as possible so I can go get the biggest number that I can when I sell my company. And that's not everything there is to it, right? So,
well, and we're looking, when we're looking at an acquisition, we're looking at what the future opportunity is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, if you went and did some short-term things to go grow sales, like, no, I'm looking at what is this thing going to be 10 years from now? How can I scale this business? What kind of team did you build that I, can jump off with? And so,
there's a lot to it. Jumping in to the secure door shield deal.
Yep.
We should talk about that.
I love how Evan brings it full circle every time.
Just bringing it back around.
Yeah, keep us on
because we mentioned it, but that's been a great project. Again, a fully custom warranty product that we've built, with our years of warranty experience.
To you guys,
and
Evan, I'll give Evan the credit.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's been, that's kind of where I live, is building things. I like to build the stuff. Brandon then usually kind of takes over and manages it from there and helps it grow and waters the plant or whatever, But that's part of the team effort, right? That's where you got to have people that kind of know their role on that bus. And we do the same thing with ourselves, right? That we would with anybody else. So, it's been it's a great product. Love to get your feedback on it and why you decided on the warranty product. I know that you're growing the service companies. You want to get be tied in for that next level, that cohort that you talked about.
Sure.
But just curious on, because, we get a lot of contractors that watch this that are either doing their own, that should be using our DIY product or our workmanship guarantee, or, maybe they want another custom program. Maybe someone watches this that is thinking about building a warranty program. You could get some insight into that.
You guys know who Mr. Beast is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there's this.
My kids watch a lot of YouTube.
Okay.
I mean, we are podcasters.
Oh, that's right.
Just kidding.
So I was listening to this this other podcast, Founders Podcast, that had a whole thing on Mr. Beast's leaked.
I think I watched that.
Mr. Beast's leaked memo.
Yeah.
And he talked about that they're experts in almost everything that you're going to go out and do, right? That outside of your daily function, right? And so you guys are home warranty experts. So for a service provider like myself to go try and build my own warranty program is asinine.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, there's no way I could ever do it as good as you guys have done it. And I knew that when we jumped off and started the project. You know, I knew like if we could do something in-house and it's gonna be impossible to maintain, and like how, you know, we don't have this expertise.
Yeah.
But you guys really know how to do it, and I can't imagine that there's actually a whole bunch of people walking around that know how to build. I mean,
The space is shockingly small.
Very small.
right.
It really is.
And so to have that expertise for us, I mean, it was just we're going to be the first to do this in our space. So that was the whole idea. I mean, we looked at some other projects that we were going to try and do with Caddie, but the warranty product really stood out to me. But you know, it's why we did it. You know, to me is, you know, we created some unique things with our builder programs that were extremely innovative, and for us, it's always, you know, getting a little bit better every day, trying to innovate the customer experience that we're bringing to the table. And so this was a step in that direction to me, to be able to provide to your to the homeowner a free 2-year extended warranty, and for our builder customers to be able to pass that on at no charge, right? And then for us to be a trusted resource for that homeowner to come back to get a fair and transparent experience, right?
Yeah.
And so it was as much for us as much about providing that value as it was to maybe selling them a door 10 years from now, right? And then you know, in our 5-year program, we have dent protection, and I just thought that was cool as shit.
Add it in. Nobody's got it. Yeah. That was one of those last minute, hey, can we add dent protection? It's like, sure. Yeah, we can do that. You know, talk to the warranty company. But yeah, it's, you know, speaking on the product, it's, you know, you've got a 5-year option, a 2-year free option. I think the 2-year free is a great one just to mention, because it's not just we didn't build just a warranty program. We built like a product registration program, which is huge, because as you mirror kind of what goes on in the HVAC space, right? Where Train, Carrier, all those guys have their, you know, registration, product registration. You know, this is a tool for you guys to have that as well. So homeowners can snap a QR code on their door and register their product. And you guys are giving away a 2-year free warranty product. Yeah. So if anything happens within that first 2 years, it's covered. Yeah. Which is awesome, because nobody else is doing it. We, you know, obviously spent time going through looking for other examples in the industry, and nobody else is doing it. So it's awesome that you guys are kind of jumping off and doing the first one.
I love it. I love it. It's very smart.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's, you know, you guys have proven it. It's not unplowed ground. It is in our space, but not in the home services space. And so,
you got plumbing company. You know, the water heaters get registered.
Yeah,
air conditioning's coming with different warranties from OEM when registered.
Right.
We built a couple of those with different manufacturers in our time. So, it's not.
And you're talking about the largest opening on the home.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is wild.
Yeah. You hit that button a lot of times during the day.
I think people take for granted things like garage door, water heater, and air conditioner. They're the stuff that you don't like necessarily think about all the time. But you know how much you panic when you open that garage door and it doesn't open?
Mine broke like 2 weeks ago.
You know, it's like when something like that goes down, all of a sudden your world is in panic, and people, it's just like your air conditioner not working in August. Like people don't realize it until they need it.
Yeah, warranty always gets, and we talk about it, like warranty is not the sexiest thing in the world, and it gets a bad rap because of all the, you know, I think it was one of the first things that someone said we were at the conference at Colonial was like, do you guys call everybody just like the car warranties? You know, hey, your warranty's expired, and it's like the car warranty guys give it a bad rap a little bit on that stuff. But from a product registration and when you're getting, as a consumer, when you get a free warranty, like why would you not register it? And why would you not take advantage of it, especially for something in your home? Because it's like, you're going to use it every single day.
Right.
Something might happen. So you should make sure that it's covered. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, warranty gets a little bit of a bad rap from time to time, but it's a very important product, as far as consumer products go. So,
yeah.
Well, what's coming up on the horizon for Windsor America? Anything big?
Really trying to get this secure door shield program launched. We went live with it 2-3 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So getting that off the ground is critical for us. We've got a number of things in the works on the manufacturing side of things where we'll see some significant product improvements on some of our legacy lines. But really, I think a lot of this year, unfortunately, is going to be spent navigating tariff land.
We were just talking about that before we jumped on, which we didn't really get into, and we should. But it's funny. Right before we got on, we were looking at some of these OEMs that are putting out price increases already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we're getting price increases on the HVAC side.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a steel consuming OEM, then I hold on.
Yeah. What is your outlook right now kind of on the new construction space for the next 12 months, 24 months? And I know that's not on our list here, but I mean, I'm just curious because I think everyone's got their own opinions on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see, obviously the 30-year fixed is sitting, just been hovering right around 7%, and you're starting to see loosening in the owner-occupied space or the existing home space, right? You're starting to see some loosening there where homes are starting to come available.
Back on the market,
because people are just tired of waiting.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see much movement in the new construction space until the 30-year fix gets below 6. That's the last time we really saw, a significant jump in volume. And so we kind of have that data to support that, that's what it needs to get to. And you look at every basis point that 30-year fix goes up, you're eliminating potential buyers, right? So, one thing that's interesting, Flag, and this is really cool, they have 2 in-house economists that we get access to.
Love it.
And our last board meeting, their economist was telling me, he's like, this whole interest rate thing is not, even if we see the 10-year start to come down a little bit and we see interest rates start to moderate, you're going to see a rush to refi, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to turn around and push the 30-year fix right back up. And so I think that's one thing that we'll see is you start to see interest rates ease, or if they ever ease.
You'll see a pop in
then you're going to see a pop in refis, which is going to, and so we got to, not only do we got to get to a place where interest rates need to start moderating, we need to get to a place where we work through this backlog of people that want to refi out of 7-8%.
Yeah.
And so who knows how long that's going to take.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's more of the same.
Mm-hmm. What is interesting, and I try to avoid like political stances and most things that I do outward facing. I just don't think that it's necessary for the business influence. But we are in an environment where there's a lot of rapid moving things going on right now. Mm-hmm. Now, will they stay or go? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact it actually has on the different rates. Like I don't know that we'll see something in 6 months or a year or two, but there's so much uncertainty with what's going on and stuff's moving so quick. And it's interesting because like with a startup, like in probably with Windsor, I would imagine, a lot of times what we do, and I think you guys probably do the same, you do get in and you break stuff, you fix it really fast, and you see what happens, and you don't really know. It pushes progress really quickly. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's right or wrong what's going on right now, but I do think it's going to have an impact potentially on rates in a way that we're uncertain of that could happen quicker than we think.
Yeah, I mean, that's, obviously the deficit is a huge part of what's
Driver, yeah.
pushing, rates where they are. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic if it was positive, but
I think
I
everyone
guess
could
we'll
agree
see,
if
yeah.
rates could come down and it was sustainable, didn't impact the.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got the leader, Trump, saying, I want them to come down. And then you've got Powell saying, I don't know. So it's like a very.
It's a good thing we have checks and balances.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. But yeah, it'll be interesting because it could, there will be an impact. I just don't know how quickly and what that impact is.
Yeah. And I guess, for us, we really have sought to build a business that is sustainable and enduring.
I was going to say, yeah, at least
through those types of
as risk adverse as it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you lean into like the secure door shield and some of the other things that we're doing. I mean, it is about building this enduring value that kind of gets you through those things, whether it's in a positive environment or a challenging one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, being as vertically integrated as you guys are certainly helps. You get a little bit more control over some of those things, owning some of the service side and having that in your back pocket is definitely
I would say, so like what's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were going through that real uncertain period where our material costs were all over the place, production, was
You learn from it.
supply chain was just a nightmare. I mean, you just wanted to solve for certainty. And so we've really leaned into that pretty heavily.
yeah.
Makes sense too. I mean, we lived through that. Certainly, like mid-COVID days for us were wild, trying to source parts and supplies and materials. Crazy, crazy world.
We were air freighting spring cones from China for $8,000 a shipment. And
just chaos.
just to keep the thing.
You just do whatever you can.
Whatever you could do.
Yeah. Always gets interesting as the owner. You got to make those decisions and pivot as quickly as you can.
Oh yeah. Well, I see the time over there, and we're getting long. I want to say, like, sincerely, from your dad and uncle starting a small side or side business to what this has evolved to and what you're doing. It is so impressive, and I hope people listen and understand, because you are the epitome of the American dream. Like, you're opportunistic. You're doing a phenomenal job, and this is super cool to be a part of.
I appreciate that. We have a fantastic team that's really works really, really hard to deliver results every day. Very grateful for them.
Well, as most leaders, good leaders say, that's a well-spoken thing, and I completely agree with you. And you guys' vision and what you're doing certainly aligns with how we think about business, and it's very cool to have you here, and appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great setup.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. No, you got a busy day ahead.
Yeah, now I get to go
with some meetings.
Go get grilled by the board.
Yeah. So thanks for making this your first stop off the plane. But thanks again. It's been a fun partnership, and it's still going, so it's not over. But it's just getting started. We're going to do I think we have some more integrations and stuff we need to do. We won't mention too many because we'll get a lot of questions on that. But we've got some more stuff coming, so it'll be fun. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.